recorded on October 27th, 1972, in Vrindavan, India.
Sushuso saddadhanasya Vasudeva katharuchi Shan mahassevaya vipra punnati thanisevana. So, our purpose is, as described in the previous verses, how to become Krishna conscious. Our present consciousness is absorbed in so many external subject matter. One is self-centered, bodily conscious. Some of them are family-wise, family conscious. Some of them community conscious, society conscious, nation conscious, or international conscious. Utmost. No more, finish their business. But still you have to extend more and more. International means within this planet. But what is this planet? It is only insignificant spot within the universe. So if you increase your consciousness more and more, then it may be interplanetary consciousness. But what is this interplanetary? This universe contains millions of planets. That's all right. But there are millions of universes also. Jasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti. Not only one universe. This universe which we are seeing, this is only one of them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu compared this universe. One devotee, he requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "My Lord, you have come, please liberate all the people of this universe. And if they are sinful, so all their sins I may take, but they may be delivered." This is Vaishnava philosophy. Others may be delivered by the grace of the Lord. I may not in the hell, that doesn't matter. Not that first of all I go to the heaven and others may not. This is not Vaishnava philosophy. Vaishnava philosophy is, I may rot in the hell, but others may be delivered. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. Vaishnava is meant for delivering all the fallen souls. Just like a very good example, Lord Jesus Christ, according to the Christian idea, He took all the sins of all people and He sacrificed His life. Very good example. Similarly, Haridas Thakur also, Nityananda Prabhu, the Vaishnava is always eager how to deliver all these fallen souls rotting in the hell of Maya. Therefore, here it is recommended, Shan Mahat Sevaya. You have to take shelter of a Mahat. Mahat means Mahatma or Vaishnava. Mahatma is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Who is Mahatma? Sa Mahatma Sudurlava. That Mahatma, simply by dressing like me with a saffron cloth, does not become a Mahatma. The Mahatma is described in the Bhagavad Gita bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mang prapaddate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudulya. There are many Mahatmas, but one who has understood Vasudeva, Krishna, is the cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. He is Mahatma. One who knows that Krishna, Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the origin of everything. Krishna also said in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate iti matya bhajanti mam buddha bhavasaman. Actually, one who knows things as they are, they understand Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudeva, Krishna, is the root of everything. Here also it is stated that Sususo Saddadhanasya Vasudeva Katharich. To know, to become inquisitive about Krishna, to know about him, this is required. This is Krishna consciousness. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Siddhanta boliya chitte nakaro olos, yaha haite Krishne lage sudhira manas. Siddhanta, to become a pure devotee, a staunch devotee of Krishna, one has to learn about Krishna. Krishna is therefore coming personally to teach us what he is. But that is required. Vasudeva Katharuchi. Our life is meant for becoming Krishna conscious. Ruchi. This ruchi is very important thing. Ruchi means just like we like to eat some favorable food, that is called ruchi. Somebody is interested in eating some salty food, somebody is interested in some sweet food, spicy food, that's like we have got taste for different types of food. Similarly, when we shall increase our taste, propensity for Krishna, that is the beginning of our perfection. Before that, we are in the material consciousness. When we increase the taste for Krishna, for understanding Krishna, this ruchi comes when one is actually liberated. This ruchi. Ata anartha nivittisya. First of all, saddadhanas, as it is stated here, saddhya, faith. Krishna says that matta paratarang nanya kinchij asti dhananjaya. There is no more superior authority than me. Matta paratarang na anyat. No, nobody else. I am the Supreme. So, when we have faith in this explanation of Krishna, as Arjuna said, Arjuna, after hearing Bhagavad Gita, he said, Sarvametam mitang manne jadvadasi Krishna. My dear Krishna, whatever you are saying, I accept them total, word to word. This is required. Not that I give up this portion, I give up that portion, whatever is to my purpose. Just like sometimes the politicians, scholars, they also try to understand Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is very authoritative book. They want to exploit. They do not understand what is Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise they would have preached Krishna. Because what is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is Krishna. Krishna is the supreme. That is to be taught. That is to be understood. That is Bhagavad Gita. Not that keeping Bhagavad Gita in front, a scapegoat. I become great politician and great scholar and give my own opinion. In my opinion, it is like this. This is nonsense. What you are? Your opinion? We don't care for all this nonsense. Who gives his own opinion as if Krishna left something to be opined by another rascal. This is their business. He becomes greater than Krishna to interpret Krishna's words. This is rascaldom. We don't accept. We accept Jadavadasi Kesam, following the footsteps of Arjuna, who directly understood Bhagavad Gita. He said, my dear Krishna, whatever you say, I accept them as it is. Then others may say, well, Arjuna was Krishna's friend, so just to flatter him, he might have said like that. No, Arjuna gave immediately evidences that not only I accept you, but great personalities like Vyasa, Narada, Devala, Vasita and many others, authorities. Just like when you speak something in the legal court, you give evidences from other judgment authorities. That is a good case. Similarly, Arjuna accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahma, Paramadhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. My dear Krishna, I accept you. You are the Supreme Brahma. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti Sabda. Brahmeti, Bhagavan, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti Sabda. Therefore, Bhagavan is Parabrahma. Simply impersonal Brahma realization is not finishing the business. You have to go further. In the Ishopanishad it is said, my dear Lord, kindly wind up your blazing effulgence so that I can see you actually. That is stated in the Ishopanishad. So one should not be, amazed simply by realization of impersonal Brahma. That is further business. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti. Just like we are experiencing daily the sunshine, that if we become satisfied with the sunshine only, now we have come to the light. Oh, that is not perfection. You go to the sun planet, because from there, from the sun planet, the sunshine is coming out. So the source of sunshine is the sun planet. But unfortunately, it is very difficult to enter into the sun planet. And if you enter into the sun planet, you will find there is a predominating deity whose name is Vivasya, God, sun God. These are the statements, as Bhagavad Gita says, Imang vivassate jugam praptaman ahamabhyam vivasyan manabe prahu manoi khagave bravit. So, formerly, people used to go to the sun planet. It requires such yogic, mystic power, just like Durvasaman. He used to travel all over the universe and beyond the universe. He reached to the Vaikuntha planet also by yogic power, and he returned within 1 year. So it is possible. You can go. The yogis, the perfect yogis, they can transfer them to any planet they desire. Any planet is there. These are stated in the Shastra, in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, to become Krishna conscious, that is the highest perfection of life. Parabrahma. Parabrahma, Brahma, impersonal effulgence, that's like the sun shine. And then localized sun, the sun glow. Then further, if you are able to enter the sun glow, you will find there is a predominating deity. There are also cities and palaces, everything, just like in this planet. But this planet is made prominently of earth, and that planet is made prominently of fire. That is the difference. Fire is also one of the elements, material elements. Earth, water, fire, air. See, if this planet is made of earth, why not other planet made of fire? What is the scientific reason to deny it? Because I cannot live in the fire, it does not mean other living entities cannot live. There are different kinds of living entities. Just like you cannot live within the water, within the ocean. But there are other living entities, just like fish. They live very comfortably within the water. So why should we conclude that there is no life in the sun planet and moon planet? This is not perfect knowledge. From Vedic books we can understand that this moon planet is one of the heavenly planets. And people live there. They are demigods. Their duration of life is very long. And one can go to that planet by performing the rituals they are described. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is said, Janti Deva Vrata Devan. If you are serious to go to the planets where demigods live, you can go. There are rules and regulations, rituals. Just like if you want to pass law examination, you prepare for that examination and you pass, you become a lawyer, you become an engineer. Similarly, any planet you want to go, you prepare in this life. Don't degrade yourself to become again cats and dogs, but you prepare yourself to be promoted to the other higher planetary system, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Urdham gachanti sattatva. You can go there. Krishna says, Janti deva vrata devan, pitrin janti pitri vrata, bhutejja janti bhutani, majjajinopi janti mam. So there is another planet, not another planet, another nature, sanatan, parastasmatu bhava anya, bhaktya sanatan. There is another nature, eternal nature. That is called Vaikuntha Loka. Jadgatyana nivattanti tadhamam paramam. Every dham, every place is Krishna's. He is the supreme proprietor. Sarvaloka Maheswaram. I am the proprietor. But there are differentiation. Paramam Dhama and Aparam Dhama. This is Aparam Dhama. This material world is Aparam Dhama, inferior nature. These are stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Aparayam itastu viddhime param. Prakiting param. Itastu viddhime prakiting param. There is another prakriti, another nature. There is Vaikuntha Loka. Not one, two, but millions, unlimited. And the topmost planet is called Goloka Vrindavan. That is Madhama, Krishna says, or Tadhama. So all these informations are there. Simply we have to know. Unfortunately, because we are too much materially absorbed, we cannot understand. We cannot understand, neither we are very much interested to know. So Vasudevi Katharj. There is no ruchi because they are conditioned by the material nature, by the three modes of material nature, Satagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. The Tamagun is the lowest, Rajagun is the higher media, and one who is in the Satagun, he can understand. Therefore the whole Vedic civilization is meant for making people Brahmana. Not to keep him in ignorance, not to keep him in the position of a Shudra. The whole Vedic scheme is that from the lowest grade of existence, one can be elevated to the highest grade. Shuddhanti, Shuddhanti, purification, that is purification. In ordinary life also, there are purificatory methods, Dasavida Samskar. That purificatory method begins before the birth, which is called Garbhadhan Sanskar. Not that a man, a high caste Brahmin or Kshatriya or even Vaishya, especially Brahman and Kshatriya, especially Brahman, he is not meant for giving birth to a child like cats and dogs. He has to observe the Garbhadhan Sanskar. In the Shastra it is said, in a Brahmin family, if the Garbhadhan Sanskar is not observed, he immediately falls down to the Shudra class. Kalau Shudra Sambhava. Because this Garbhadhan Sanskar is not observed, therefore it is to be taken, accepted, everyone is a Shudra. The Krishna consciousness movement is to again elevate the Shudra to the standard of Brahman. This is the Krishna consciousness. Because without Brahmana, just like without head, what is the value of your body? Brahmana means the head. Mukho bahu rupadebhya purusasya asramaisaha chattara jaggire varna vipradaya prithak guna. Brahmana means the head. Therefore Brahman is offered so much respect. Because head, without head, in the head, in the brain, you conceive something, and the hands and legs, they execute the order. Similarly, the head of the society, they should be the Brahmanas. They are not interested in capturing political power, no. Brahmana is to give instruction. We find from Vedic literature there were committees, Privy Council committees of great sages and Brahmanas. They would give the king advice that he rule in this way. And if the king is disobedient, sometimes the Brahmanas should dethrone them or kill them. That was Vedic system. We find from the life and ruling of Maharaj Prithu, how he was ruling over the world, how he was observing that every community, either Brahmana or Kshatriya or Vaishya and Shudra, they are properly employed. There was no unemployment cost there. It was the duty of the king to see that not a single man is unemployed. He must be engaged. So they made arrangement like that. So what is the idea? The idea is to elevate everyone gradually to the position of Brahmana and Vaishnava and thus make their life perfect. That is the scheme of Vedic civilization. Chaturvarnang maya system gunakarma vibhaga. Not that keep the Shudras or the Mlecchas in the downtrodden position and let me advance. No. Everyone should cooperate. Why the Shudras and Mlecchas and Javanas should remain as such? Actually, India's fall down is meant by that process. Nobody cared. So many Muslims, they converted. But the higher caste, they did not care. Oh, they have become Muslims. Reject. Why reject? Krishna says, Mang hi partha vyapasritya jepishu papajonayo Striya Vaishyas Tatha Shudras Te Vijanti Parangati. Why these Muslims were neglected? Why they are not turned into Vaishnavas, just like we are doing? This is the fault of the leaders. Therefore India is now divided, Pakistan and India. So, if we actually try to understand Krishna and Krishna consciousness, there is solution for all the problems of society, of government and everything. It is not a sentimental movement. Vasudeva Katharuchi. One must increase the taste for understanding Krishna. Just like Krishna came, he came not only to dance with the gopis, he took part in politics, he killed so many demons, he established good government, he showed how householders live. Krishna, it is all described in our Krishna book, Srimad Bhagavatam. He was lying with his beautiful queens, and as soon as there is cock crow, immediately he would rise, early in the morning, 3 o'clock. The queens will be disgusted. Now it is early in the morning, Krishna will go out. But Krishna immediately give up the company of the wife and immediately rise and immediately take bath and do the needful as it is enjoined in the Vedic performance. This is ideal Grihastha. He will give in charity every day 13,000 of cows to the Brahmins. Read all these things. Don't think that Krishna consciousness movement is simply dugdugi. Not dugdugi. It includes everything, all pervasive. Krishna is aham sarvasya prabhava. Krishna is the root of everything. Therefore, anything you conceive of, politics, sociology, philosophy, religion, anything, there is adjustment if you become Krishna conscious. That is Krishna consciousness movement. Jad jad achariti shrestha. Tattadeva vitare jana. Therefore we want some leading personalities to become Krishna conscious, so that others will follow. But if we go to some leading personality, minister or prime minister, we are secular, we have rejected Krishna. Nonsense, what is your value rejecting your Krishna? Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadgana. You are rejected, you have no good qualification. You have rejected Krishna, therefore we reject you. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadgana. Anyone who is not Krishna conscious, he has no value. We don't give any value, however he may pose himself as very great man. No. We say, Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna, manorathena asato dhavatavai. Because you are not Krishna consciousness, you are hovering on the mental plane. Therefore you must fall down. This is the conclusion of Shastra. So, here is Sususa Saddadhanasya. Just like you all people have gathered, there is Saddha. So let us hear something about Krishna. What time it is speaking. This is called Sadhya. This Saddha has to be increased. Then, when you come to the point of Ruchi, Vasudeva Katha Ruchi, that is the beginning of her perfection. At the present moment, there is no Ruchi, no taste. Vasudeva Katha Ruchi, there are so many exalted persons, but they have no ruchi, they have no taste, they have lost all taste. Vasudeva Katha Ruchi, there are two faults. Either people could not preach properly so that they could not create taste of the people in general. It is not the fault of the people in general, it is the fault of the so-called preachers also. Because they could not create taste. They wanted to take the place of Krishna. That was their purpose. Imitation Krishna, imitation God. That will not do. You have to create taste. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. Namo Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Pradaya. Srila Rupa Goswami, when he first met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he offered this prayer. Namo Mahavadannaya. You are the most magnificent incarnation because you are giving Krishna. You are giving Krishna. You are greater than Krishna. Mahavadana. Because Krishna asked everybody to surrender. He did not give himself immediately. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is also Krishna. In the form of devotee, he is giving himself, taking without any price. So, Vasudeva Katharuchi, people should be educated. How to increase the taste for understanding Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness movement. Everyone should come forward. Apani achari Prabhu jivere sikha. One should behave himself as Krishna conscious, then he will be able to make others Krishna conscious. Not by theoretical knowledge, but by behavior. Apani achari Prabhu jivere sikha. So this is required. It is very, very important moment. Any leader of the society, any political leader, any social leader, they should study. Our only request is that please try to understand this Krishna consciousness movement. Just like Chaitanya Charitamrita Kal says that Chaitanya dayar katha karaha vichar. It is not blindly accepted. Vichar. Just judge yourself how great important this moment is. Chaitanya dayar katha karaha vichar. Vichar karile chitte pave chamatkar. If you are sober, thoughtful, you will find it is sublime. It is sublime. So that is our request. The people who are leaders of the society, they should take this Krishna conscious movement very seriously, study, and then give their judgment, and people will be happy. Thank you very much.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Shamini Tiramane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvise Sasanyavadi Paschati Rasatani Namas Mukam Karuti Vacharam Pangulangayate Girim Yakrapa Tamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarina. Good. Panchakalpaturubhyascha kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Srila Prabhupada was saying how the Krishna consciousness movement can solve all the problems in the world. And then he was saying that we have to behave properly, not just teach. And I often think, if you take any religious movement in the world and you imagine that everyone in the world follows this religion, what would the world be like? Because sometimes people say, well, you say your religion is the best, but Muslims say it's the best, Christians say it's the best, the Buddhists say it's the best, and so on. So what's the test? How do you know? And say, well, take the philosophy, take the actions of those people who follow the philosophy, and imagine that everyone in the world lived that way. And that would be kind of easy to understand, right? Okay, this religion believes in this. That means everyone's going to do it, or they don't believe in this, nobody's going to do it. So Prabhupada said we have to behave properly, so let's take our movement and multiply it. Like, well, let's do a better example. If everyone in the world lived like you, would that be good or bad? That's the politically correct answer, is good. But I want the real answer, not the politically. No, I don't want the theoretical answer, I want the real answer. It's like, if everyone in the world lived like I live, would it be a better world or a worse world, or okay, or I mean, you know, we're devotees, so if we live as so the theoretical question is, yes, if everyone lives as a pure devotee, it'll be good. But I didn't say if everyone lives as a pure devotee, I said if everyone lives like us. Anyway, that is an interesting question. It's an interesting meditation. If there were, what's the population? 6,320,000,000 or something. If there were 6,320,000,000 of you, would that be good? Would that be bad? Would there be war? Would there be peace? What would there be? And it's an interesting question. So, Shri Radha Parthasarati ki jai, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Namo Vishnu Padaya. Well, I could ask another question. If there were 6,320,000,000 of you, would you commit suicide? Because you'd have to deal with 320, you'd have to deal with 6 billion people exactly like you. Would that be good or bad? Would you go crazy or would you be happy? Interesting question, right? So it's interesting when Prabhupada says if the Krishna consciousness movement spreads, then the whole world will change. That's the theory, right? But practically, we have to make that a reality by our behavior. So I was told I could speak on anything, so I have some verses, purports I wanted to read. And these are about tolerance and forgiveness, because we're going to come back here on the 24th. We're going to teach a course on forgiveness. Some of you will make it and some of you will not make it, but we'll talk a little bit about it today, and that will help you see if you like to come, and if you can't come, you'll learn something. Is that okay? Okay, so Shama is Sanskrit for forgiveness. In Hindi, is it the same? Shama. And sometimes Prabhupada translates Shama, will you say Shama? In Sanskrit it's Shama, I think. Anyway, he translates it sometimes as tolerance. So we know tolerance is titikshaba. But he translates forgiveness sometimes as tolerance, like synonymous. So we'll read some quotes about forgiveness and tolerance, and we'll discuss them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So sometimes Prabhupada would translate this, rarely, but occasionally, with not tolerant as a tree, but as forgiving as a tree. Forgiveness of, as the example is given, you chop the tree down, it doesn't say anything. So it's forgiving. Tree is forgiving. Tolerant and forgiving, all right? A sadhu, a devotee, is never angry. Where's sadhu? Mm-hmm. Is he here? Is that true? You're never angry? Yeah, except when you guys don't do your service, then. Yeah. A sadhu is a devotee is never angry. Actually, the real feature of devotees who undergo tapasya, austerity, is forgiveness. So what does this mean? The real feature is forgiveness. That's interesting, isn't it? It's like you may not realize that Prabhupada spoke so much about it, forgiveness, especially saying the real feature, that could also mean, we could understand that as the essential feature, the fundamental feature. Isn't that interesting? The fundamental feature of a sadhu is forgiveness, or we can say tolerance as well, fundamental feature. And why is that fundamental? Well, it's interesting. If you study the Gita, there are a lot of verses about tolerance, but without the word tolerance. Samo, Dhamma, Tapo, Socham. The qualities of Brahmins, if you look at the qualities, Sama, they're equal. So how can you be equal without tolerance? Because, it's a little bit cold now, and in May it's going to be a little bit hot, right? So you're tolerating the cold, and you're going to have to tolerate the heat. And when you tolerate, you can become equal, right? Equal in hot and cold. What else? Krishna describes so many dualities that we're supposed to be equal, right? Loss and gain, victory or defeat. You could say, just go down. Krishna doesn't list every duality, but you could go down the list of every duality and make the assumption or conclusion that Krishna is telling us, be equal, no matter what. Pain, pleasure, happiness, distress, loss, gain, victory, defeat. What else? Good, bad, happiness, distress, pleasure, pain, right? So how can you remain equal in duality? Tolerance. Yes? And if you don't tolerate, what happens? If it's difficult, you get angry. And if it's pleasurable, you lose your mind. You go crazy in material happiness, right? Yes? So you're going to get thrown one side or the other. Oh, it's so cold, I can't take it. Oh, the weather is so nice, I love it. So you're just getting thrown around. So in all those verses we can say Krishna is teaching tolerance without using the word, but using the word being equal. Samatvam. Be equal. That's how do you equal? Unless you're like completely transcendental. Anybody here totally transcendental? Not yet. Maybe tomorrow. So unless you're totally transcendental, what's your option to transcend duality? Well, Krishna's saying be tolerant, but then you won't get affected. So Prabhupada's saying tolerance is fundamental. Because without, what does Krishna say? Somritat vaya kalpate. Then you'll be liberated. Right? Sama, dukam, dhira, Shri Lakshmi Narasingha Deva ki jai. Samadukam Sukam Dhiram. Isn't that interesting? Krishna is telling you, if something really good happens, don't become happy, because if you become happy, you're no longer a dhira, and if you're not a dhira, you're going to have trouble getting out of the material world. So if tomorrow your uncle Anand Patel calls you up and says, I'm leaving you 100 crores of rupees in my will, and Krishna is saying, you just take it like somebody just told you, we're going out to do a preaching engagement. Okay, all right, get in the van. Okay, you take it like that. That's what he's saying. Isn't that interesting? Krishna is basically saying, don't be materially happy, it's not good for you. And don't be materially distressed, it's not good for you. Wow. You cannot be happy. You've all been cursed. You cannot be materially happy. Of course, when Mahaprabhu was blessed materially, you remember that story? Mahaprabhu was cursed that he would have no material happiness and no material opulence. You know that story? And Mahaprabhu was celebrating. Wow, what a blessing. What a blessing for a sannyasi. I'll have no material happiness. So that's interesting, right? So fundamental to the practice of bhakti is our ability to be equiposed and tolerant. And forgiveness is going to come in, so we'll read some more. Those who are tapasvis, their first duty is how much he is forgiving, how much he has learned to forgive. Wow. Now you just got another assignment. You have to be tolerant no matter what. You can't be happy when things are good, and you have to be forgiving. That's your if you want to genuinely practice spiritual life, forgiveness is fundamental. Did you know that? Anybody ever tell you that before? I guess not. No one's hand went up. Yeah, isn't that interesting? There are things in Prabhupada's books that are kind of hidden, and you don't notice them until you study it, isolate it, and discuss it, and then you see. You would think we would all know this because Prabhupada's saying it's fundamental. Right? I'll read it again, just so you can see how fundamental it is. Those who are tapasvis, their first duty is how much he is forgiving, how much he has learned to forgive. First duty. So, one way to look at this, tapasvi, brahmachari, whatever, anyone who's cultivating spiritual life, their first duty is to be forgiving. But you could also say their first duty is to control their senses. Their first duty is to be tolerant. Their first duty is to be determined. Their first duty is to be clean. You could say all these things in the sense, if you translate it, their first duty is to be situated in the mode of goodness. Because if you're in the mode of goodness, samadhamma taposocham, you have brahminical qualities, right? So then you'll have the tolerance, the equanimity, right? You'll have it all, yes? So Prabhupada is saying fundamental to the practice of spiritual life is a cultivation of the qualities of the mode of goodness, because if you're not in the mode of goodness, you're going to have a really difficult time transcending, because the more you go down, the further you get away from Krishna. So Krishna's here, and then there's Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun, right? So Tamagun is what? If Krishna's here, where's Tamagun? It's the furthest. Rajagun is, passion is better than ignorance. At least you're doing something. It's not like going to really help you ultimately, but it's better. Sattva is right next door. It's like if you have to go to a store and it's next door, it's easier to get to than a store that's on the other side of Delhi, right? So Delhi's a big city. It takes 3 hours to go from one side to the other, and at 10 in the morning it takes 14 hours or something. So Tamagun is like going from one side of Delhi to the other. Krishna's on the other side. It's far away. So we're meant to live in sattva-gun and live by those qualities, and forgiveness is a fundamental quality. So now, someone may say, or you may have thought, like, why is this even important, and why should I even practice forgiveness or any of these qualities? And the reason is because if you don't practice these qualities, then the qualities that you're practicing are influenced by passion and ignorance. For example, one definition of resentment is, or revenge, is anger which is steady and subtle. It doesn't always manifest itself. It's a constant. Like if you can't forgive someone, you have an issue with someone, it's different than you just have an argument and then it goes away. Right? You have an argument, you get upset, an hour later you apologize, or it just dissipates. It's not a big thing. But you have a situation and it doesn't go away. And next week you have an issue, and next year you have an issue, and next decade you have an issue. And when you see that person, you don't even want to see them. You just think, I don't like this person. We just have some kind of negative emotion. So it's a constant connection with tamagun. That's what it is. I'm connected with tamagun because I have this envy or resentment towards somebody. So like if you're practicing spiritual life and you're trying to do it from tamagun, you're not gonna succeed. You ever try to chant your rounds and the harder you try, the worse they get? You ever have that experience? Maybe the day before you committed some offense to a devotee, knowingly, unknowingly, in your mind. Maybe you're, who knows? But sometimes we have that experience. There's some connection with the lower modes of nature, and it makes it difficult to do bhakti properly. So Prabhupada here is saying the first qualification is to be forgiving, because the qualification is not to be associated with revenge, anger, envy, etc. How can you be Krishna conscious if that's what's going on in your heart? So your heart, the heart of a Vaishnava has to be free from envy, free from judgment, free from criticism. Trinadapi sunichena. So how many times a year do you chant this verse? I think you chant it 365 days a year. If you've been a devotee for 50 years, like myself, or more, then 300 times 50, that's a lot, right? Does it mean we understood anything? Not necessarily, right? How can I practice humility if I'm critical? So therefore, amanina, manadena. I don't criticize and I don't want praise. And if I don't live that way, how can I chant properly? Oh, Prabhu, I have no taste for the holy name. Well, maybe go back to the third verse of Shishashtakam. Maybe there's some problem in the humility department. Maybe there's some problem in the tolerance department. Maybe there's some problem in the criticism department. Maybe there's some problem in the pride department. And if you don't monitor it, then you'll chanting your rounds and you'll put your beads down in a little while, and you'll just say, I don't want to chant now, or I can't. Or you're chanting but you're not chanting. You ever done that? Chant but not chant? Here. See this button? It says, when I chant, I chant. That means I'm present when I chant. I'm chanting, I'm actually chanting. But sometimes we chant and we're not chanting. We're doing something in our mind. We're not present, right? So it could be due to the influence of passion and ignorance. So it's not that our goal is to remain in sattva-gun, but it's those, if we're not in sattva-gun, then what guna are we in? Passion or ignorance. And if you're in passion or ignorance, well, if you want to do a trek to the Himalayas, I wouldn't suggest carrying a bag of rocks on your back. What do you think? What would you carry? Like one dhoti, one kurta, light, right? So you want to be Krishna conscious. You don't want to carry rajas and tamas on your back, do you? I hope not. So that's what it means when we say a devotee should be forgiving. It simply means if you're not forgiving, then you're connected with some kind of anger that's constantly burning in your heart, sometimes so subtle you don't even know it, but it's having its effect. It can even cause disease. Sometimes emotions are so subtle you don't even know. Like, do you ever see a devotee and you just don't like looking at that devotee? Did that ever happen to you? Okay, you don't have to say yes. It's embarrassing. I'll say yes for you. Yes, it has happened to you, and it probably will happen maybe today, tomorrow, the next day. Why does that happen? Well, in case you haven't noticed, you're not avatars. And if you're not avatars, you're human beings, and this is human conditioning. Yes? So, these are normal human qualities. The problem is normal human qualities keeps you in the material world, right? If you want to get out of the material world, you can't have normal human qualities. So when Krishna is saying, be tolerant, be forgiving, don't be envious, don't be critical, you could say, in a sense, Krishna is saying, don't be connected with the mode of ignorance. Because if you are, you're going to have a really hard time being Krishna conscious. Because all the problems you will ever face in your life are because of association with passion and ignorance. That's where they all come from. So if you have any problem, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that, really, it just means you're dealing with one of those modes of nature. You're not dealing purely with sattva. Because if you're in sattva, you wouldn't have that. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So Prabhupada's saying forgiveness is fundamental, tolerance is fundamental. Trinadapi sunichena torori vasahishnana. Like, okay, that's pretty fundamental. When Mahaprabhu gives the Shishastakam, the third verse, is explaining, if you want to chant Shuddhanam, well, this is how you do it. And if you're proud, you're not going to be chanting Shuddhanam. And if you're not chanting purely, your spiritual life will suffer. It'll move slowly, if at all. So, pretty important, isn't it? Like tolerance, forgiveness, pretty important. Because without it, we can't function properly as a Vaishnava. What happens when a Vaishnava becomes proud? What happens when a devotee becomes proud? Does Krishna like it? Of course not. Sometimes Krishna comes to Brahma, to Indra, to other devotees, and what does he do when he sees they're proud? He creates a situation to curb their pride. Because that pride is now a connection with Rajas and Tamas. And if you're that deeply connected with Rajas and Tamas, how can you connect with Krishna? You can't. Okay, I'm going to read a verse maybe you've heard before. Chanaka Pandit. Brahmins are beautiful when they are forgiving. Kshatris when they are heroic and never retreat from fighting. Vaishyas when they enrich cultural activities and protect cows. And Shudras when they are faithful in the discharge of duties pleasing to their masters. Thus everyone becomes beautiful by his special qualities. And the special quality of the Brahmins, as described here, is forgiveness. Isn't that interesting? The special quality of the Brahmins is forgiveness. Wow. Have any of you heard that before? I would bet. I mean, we can't gamble. Well, you can gamble if you know you're going to win, because gambling means possibly you could lose, right? So we say we don't gamble. Not exactly true, because if you know you're going to win, it's not a gamble. So I would bet that most devotees who've read all of Prabhupada's books many times, if I read this, I said, do you remember this? They would say, no, I don't. Because a lot of times when we're reading, we read from a certain subjective perspective. And so some things go in that make sense to us, like we're looking for them, or they resonate with our consciousness where we're at, and some things go in and nothing happens. They go in and they just stick somewhere, but they don't actually go in. Did you know that? I mean, you ever read a purport and remember 2 things out of 7 points? Like, why? Because those 2 points really resonated with you, and the other 7 maybe weren't relevant or whatever. So I think a lot of devotees, if they read something like this, they would think, well, it's not really relevant. We're not about forgiveness. We're about distributing books, opening temples, making devotees, festivals. That's what we're all about, right? So you read something about forgiveness, it's like doesn't even relate. What does that have to do? I'm going on Sankirtan in a half an hour. What does forgiveness have to do with anything? So I find it really interesting, isn't it? It's like, this is something I think that many devotees overlook. You agree? Listen to this one. This is beautiful. The duty of a brahmana is to culture the quality of forgiveness, which is illuminating like the sun. So again, we have this, the duty of the brahmana. It means if you're going to live in goodness, you have to be forgiving, because if you're not, then you're angry, you're resentful, you're vengeful, and that contaminates your consciousness. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is pleased with those who are forgiving. Could you repeat that? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. No, repeat after me. You're all Shrutidars, but I didn't know that. But just repeat after me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is pleased with those who are forgiving. Okay, so now you know it. Now turn to the devotee next to you and tell them, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is pleased with those who are forgiving. So what did you learn in class today? Well, one thing you learned is, now I know how to please Krishna. So you do something to me, it's upsetting. I'm feeling like I cannot forgive you for what you've done. It was so bad. And then I remember, but if I forgive, Krishna will be pleased with me. So the question I have for you is, what's more important to you? Your vengeance towards that devotee or your relationship with Krishna? This is a simple answer, right? But in real life, sometimes we're more attached to our vengeance than pleasing Krishna. I'll never forgive him. No, I'll never forgive him. What he did is so bad, I cannot forgive him. But Krishna will be pleased with you. So now you have to make a choice. You want to hold on to your vengeance, or you want to please Krishna? It should be an easy choice, but it's not easy, always. As we know, we're not avatars. What are we? We're humans. Turn to the devotee next to you and tell him, Prabhu, you're not an avatar, you're a human. Tell him he's not an avatar. Okay, all the humans out there that we're speaking to, we're constantly having to make a choice. Do we want to give into our human nature, or do we want to please Krishna? Simple choice, isn't it? Although the choice is simple, it's not simple, because we're conditioned. And tamagun and rajagun are very strong. And when we're stuck in that guna, we'll say things like, I cannot forgive him. What he did was so bad, I cannot forgive him. Isn't that interesting? Yes? Here's another quote. Same point. The Lord is very satisfied with his devotee when the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. So this is really interesting, because generally, when we think of pleasing Krishna, we think of very specific things. If I do this, if I get this result, if I follow this etiquette, if I do this puja, if I do this seva, I can please Krishna. But also, we should never forget this, and this sometimes goes overlooked. We please Krishna by our behavior. That's what Prabhupada is saying here. Let's read it again. This is how you please Krishna. The Lord is very satisfied with his devotee when the devotee greets other people with 1, tolerance, 2, mercy, 3, friendship, and 4, equality. Can you repeat? Tolerance, mercy, friendship, equality. Oh, that's a big word for India. Equality. Right. Like, that's really a big word. Well, I don't want to say for India. It's a big word everywhere. To see everyone equally, that pleases Krishna. To be tolerant, that pleases Krishna. When you're friendly, kind, merciful, that pleases Krishna. So these qualities, the Vaishnava qualities, or the qualities of a Brahmin, when you treat people, when you act with those qualities and you treat people with compassion, mercy, kindness, not just only when you're on Sankirtan, but 24/7, Krishna's pleased. Wow. Now you know how to please Krishna 24/7 when you're just sitting around with another devotee. All right. if this is true, then what happens when you are critical of another devotee, unkind, not merciful, not friendly? Who is not pleased by that? Well, obviously that devotee is not pleased. Krishna is also not pleased with us. Well, so this is an important point to take with you for the rest of your life. That when you do the right thing, even though materially maybe you're compromising, you're losing something, but when you do the right thing, the way Krishna wants you to live, then you please him. And that's why we're devotees, to please Krishna. What's the point of getting anything if it doesn't please Krishna, right? Like if you have two choices, you get this and it doesn't please Krishna, or you do this even though it's difficult and it does, obviously you would say, okay, we'll do this. This is please Krishna, I'll do it. Yes? Yeah, okay. I'm going to read one more. There's so much to read. I'm going to read one more and then we can have some questions, discussions. And I just wanted to mention before I read this that the course we're going to be dealing with deals less with philosophy and deals more with practical application. So in the course, you'll learn less about forgiveness and you'll learn mostly how to forgive. Now we're learning about forgiveness, right? It's just like, you can learn about exercise while you sit on your couch. You can read books on how to exercise, but nothing happens to you actually exercise. So now we're learning about forgiveness just so we can see the importance of it, but in the course we actually do forgiveness. That's what we do. So if you're interested in it, we're going to be doing processes about forgiveness. I mean, we'll obviously be discussing forgiveness, but we're in the context of actually applying it in our own lives. So I'll read this one. This is Suniti to Prahlad. No. To Dhruva. Why don't I have Prahlad here? To Dhruva. Right? I have Prahlad here. It's like crazy. So as we know, Dhruva was angry, right? Was Dhruva angry? Yeah. I was really angry with his father, right? And this is what his mother said. My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain. So we have this saying Prabhupada told us. It must be some kind of Bengali wisdom. Maybe not. Maybe you've heard this before. When you kill a skunk, your hand will smell. You've heard that before? You kill the skunk, what happens? All the odor of the skunk's on your hand. So you cause another person to suffer, that suffering is on your hand. You remember the story of Ambarish and Durvasa, and Durvasa finally made it to Vishnu and asked him for help. And Vishnu said, when you offend a devotee, you suffer. It causes you the suffering. So we carry with us the odor of the toxic consciousness that we exhibit in relation to other people. You know what it's like when you're angry. Who suffers from your anger? Well, people around you suffer, but you suffer more. Right? So who suffers from your resentment? More than anyone, it's us. We are carrying it. So Suniti is saying, you're angry, you're upset, but you're suffering from your own anger. So if I carry resentment, then I'm torturing myself, aren't I? Ultimately. So that's a little introduction to what we're going to be doing on the 24th. And if you're interested, I don't know if as brahmacharis you have any independent free will. You can call in sick and then sneak in the back door to the workshop, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe they'll let you all come. That would be nice. Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And if you have any question, I can answer. If not, yes. We have a microphone?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for within less time you gave the lifetime project. My question is, Prabhuji,
What did you just say?
within less time you gave lifetime project. So
okay.
it's so interesting, and I'll always to apply this. Prabhuji, you spoke about negative emotion is tamaguna.
Yeah.
So sometime like to uplift the devotees or the parents, they also show some kind of negative emotion to
negativity to uplift.
to uplift them.
yeah.
So how to understand this? This
Oh,
is
yeah.
how to apply or
So I think what you're saying is, it seems like sometimes if you're hard on yourself, like if I do something wrong and I'm hard on myself, which is negative, it will push me to be more productive. And that's true, but in the long run, it's not true. Because it's negative. For most people, it doesn't work. It only works temporarily. Because this is going to sound quite simple. Because positive emotions are more positive than negative emotions. Therefore, positive emotions are more motivating than negative emotions. So you have you fail at something, and then I tell you, how could you fail? What's wrong with you? You know, you're like so stupid. You know, you can do better. Or I tell you, it's okay. You tried. You know, I see that you're sincere, and I know that you're intelligent, and just keep doing it. And I'm sure you'll be more successful. What's going to motivate you more, the positive or the negative? Right? It's obvious. The negative is, you know, it's kind of like gyan. So you're brahmacharis. And if you want to remain brahmachari, gyan is not sufficient. You have to have ruchi. And beyond that, you have to, you know, be neutral to attachment and repulsion. So if you want to remain brahmachari, you know, then, you know, you can bring a skeleton, a female skeleton up in the ashram, and, you know, in case you ever get disturbed, you can chant your japa in front of that skeleton like the Buddhist would do. You know, it's like, that's not our process. You put a picture of Radha and Krishna and become attracted to Krishna. So, but you might say, I just need to look at that skeleton for one round. I had a bad day yesterday. Okay, you know, you remind yourself, that's gyan. You know, this is the material world. It's all that beauty of the woman. It's, you know, it's just a skeleton covered by different elements. But that's not going to perpetually, you know, you're going to fall down because there's no taste. So the positive is always better. And if you feel the negative can inspire you, that's okay. But it could be a dysfunctional inspiration also. You know, remorse can be inspiring. Yeah, I did something bad. I want to correct it. But when it gets into tamagun, it's eternal remorse. And if it's always remorse, after you correct it, I corrected myself, but I still feel bad. That's not helpful. Feel bad, correct yourself, and then move forward. That will produce the best result. But if, you know, then you might say, but the acharyas are lamenting. Yeah, but they're not lamenting in the mode of ignorance. So you can't compare your lamentation to an acharya's lamentation, because generally our lamentation is tamasic, and theirs is transcendental. So we get confused sometimes. Oh, but the acharyas, they're saying they're so bad, and they're so horrible, and they're so full, and they're so, yeah. And if you tell yourself, I'm so fallen, I'm so horrible, I'm so this and that, long enough, you'll just become discouraged. Because when they're doing it, it's a byproduct of their love for Krishna. And they're actually feeling it in an ecstatic way. But we could feel it in a very tamasic way, right? So you have to make sure your negative emotions are at least sattvic. It's kind of a contradiction. But, you know, or at least if they're sattvic or transcendental, they'll produce a good result. But if they're not, in the long run, you'll just get discouraged. And if you don't believe me, let's do an experiment. Think of something that bothers you. And just think about it all day. And by tonight, you'll be like ready to throw away your japa beads. Because it'll just discourage you. Right? Because it's tamasic. That kind of thinking is tamasic. And it's just discouraging. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So the simple answer to the question is, Positive emotions, you guessed it, are positive. And negative emotions, yes, are negative, unless they're transcendentally negative, which then would have a positive effect. But materially negative may have a temporary effect. But we're not jnanis, so we don't put skeletons in the room of every brahmachari. It's saying this used to be Marilyn Monroe or some Bollywood star skeleton, and you can meditate on it. If you need that to detach, I feel sorry for you, because you're not going to make it. You have to actually have a taste, right? I was just listening to a lecture by Bhakti Bigyan Maharaj, and he said, the actual reason to hear Bhagavatam is not just to learn, but is to get a taste, to have a taste. Because the taste is, we know from Bhagavad Gita, Param Drishtandi Vartam, the taste is everything. Okay, thank you for that question. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Yes. Krishna.
Prabhuji, like his question is that, so suppose someone commits some offense towards us, we forgive.
Commits offense to us and we forgive, yeah.
We forgive. So, but he keeps on doing it.
Yeah.
Then it becomes very difficult.
Yeah. So, if you could say you're implicated in a person's offense if you allow them to continually make the offense. So you can say, I forgive you, but what you did is wrong. And if you do it again, then, and fill in the blank, whatever it is you want to do. You want to create some boundary so that they don't feel that your forgiveness means they can commit the offense again. Oh, he forgave me, that means he's like a pushover, or he doesn't care. No, you can say, what you did is wrong, I forgive you, but don't do it again. Because if you do, I'll never talk to you again. I'll never want to see you, or whatever. We were having this discussion last night, and sometimes when you're offended, what should you do? And sometimes you just tell the person, what you just did not help me. It actually hurt me. It's not maybe you wanted to inspire me, but you discouraged me. And so, I understand you're trying to help me, and I forgive you, but I just want you to know it doesn't help. And if you continue, if you feel like you have to continually criticize me, put me down, and so on, I just have to distance myself from you, because it doesn't help. So that can be part of it. It's not like, because people think when you forgive, it's just like, okay, your hands are up and people can beat you up now. But then you're engaging them in it's like you're encouraging them to continue. So then you're somewhat implicated. But you just put a little boundary around you and say, okay, I forgive you, but not again. That's it. I mean, obviously, if someone, you had a business partner and he stole money, once you forgive them, it doesn't mean you want to continue doing business together. You say, okay, I forgive you, but this partnership is over. I don't trust you. So that's there. Now, and then how you want to deal with that person, it will depend practically what you feel is best for both of you. But sometimes we're encouraging people to offend us by just being overly tolerant. So this is a good point. We should be tolerant, but you could be so tolerant that you allow people to offend you. It's not good for you and it's not good for them. So it doesn't mean unlimitedly tolerant to the point where everybody suffers. And here's the other problem. You say, okay, I should be unlimitedly tolerant. So you are tolerant, but inside you're not. It's just externally. And so you're burning inside, and one day it comes out. So we don't want that. So you want to, deal with it. No, I can't tolerate this, and I have to create a situation where this person stops, because it's not good for either of us. And if I just tolerate it, it could become like tamasic tolerance. And then, I think I'm tolerating, but I'm just kind of like putting my head in the ground and pretending I'm tolerating. And then one day, right, a nuclear explosion of anger comes out. Right? Have you ever done that before? hold something in. So instead of holding it in, just talk about it, let the person know. I think that's useful. Just let them know. Maybe you're trying to help me, but it's not helping me. It's actually disturbing me. And maybe I'm not advanced enough for this kind of help. I don't know what it is, but it's not helping me. And maybe it was innocent on their part. And they thought, I thought this would help you. But, we all get encouraged in different ways. Some people will just say, yeah, just be heavy with me. That's what I need. Other people say, inspire me, be kind, show affection. That's what I need. So you can tell them, yeah. Okay. I have to leave in 3 minutes for the airport. Anything else? Okay. Well, it was nice being here. I haven't been here in a while, maybe 5-6 years, right? Maharaj, when was the last time I came here? Like 6 years ago? Or more than 6? What? That long? Wow, I'm getting old. I came here when I was a young man, right? Now, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Brahmanandi Hari Hari Bo.